There's a pair of wings in heaven, I know.
A pair of wings in heaven, I know.
There's a pair of wings in heaven, I know.
And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming. Good news, chariots are coming. Good news, chariots are coming. And I don't want it to leave me behind.
There's a golden harp in heaven, I know.
A golden harp in heaven, I know.
There's a golden harp in heaven, I know.
And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming. Good news, chariots are coming. Good news, chariots are coming. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots are coming. Good news, chariots are coming. Good news, chariots are coming. And I don't want it to leave me behind.
Thank you. We've got our special guest today, Alyssa Narum, and we'll have her throughout the morning. I'd like to ask you to stand for our opening song, We Are One in Harmony.
We are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love. Who we are is ever free, one with all creation. Who we are is ever free, one with all creation. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love. We are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one in harmony, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love. Who we are is ever free, one with all creation. Who we are is ever free, one with all creation. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in love.
Thank you to Anton Miserak, Laura Berryhill, and Alyssa Narum. Wow, so nice. So welcome everybody, to those of you in the room and to those of you online. We are Center for Spiritual Living Rogue Valley in partnership with Medford Unity. We are an inclusive, progressive spiritual community, and we welcome each one here, no matter what your path is, where you may happen to be on your own personal spiritual journey. We always like to give a little love to anyone here for the first time. We promise we won't follow you home, but if you are here for the first time, would you be willing to raise your hand and let us clap for you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you found us. Awesome. We have social time in Bosworth Hall afterwards, and we invite you to join us for Michael Sunday outdid himself today. We have quiches, and we have marinated vegetables, so please feel free to come say hi. Let us get to know you. Let's see, our cast of characters this morning. Teresa Jenkins is our practitioner on the pulpit. She'll be delivering our opening prayer and reading. Carol Wythe, another practitioner, she presented a beautiful meditation this morning. Thank you so much. And let's see, who else am I forgetting? Wonderful, wonderful kirtan last night with you three. Thank you so very much. Oh my goodness, yeah. So please turn your cell phones either off or in silent mode, or airplane mode rather. And we're now going to turn it back over to our musicians to prepare us for our invocation and reading. And I'm going to invite you, after this particular song, no matter how fabulous you may think it is, and you will, to hold your applause as we go directly into prayer.
So we're going to do something from Sanskrit. From unreality, lead us to the reality of the present moment.
From darkness, lead us into light.
From mortality, lead us to immortality.
Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is what I know. I know that God is, Spirit is. I know that to be true because I see Spirit. I feel Spirit. You can't hear me, or can't hear me. I hope that's better. There you go. And God spoke. And the world came into existence as we all did at the same time. What I know is we are on sacred ground. It may be a little warm, as I said earlier, but this place is holy. I know God is here because we are here. We are expressions of the unique one.
God spoke us into being. There was a sound, and we became. And in that knowing, I bless everyone here, the people online, everyone who put together this service for us today, especially Reverend Kimberly and our beautiful musicians and our sound team. I especially want everyone to know that how precious we all are in the eyes of God. You are the beloved in the eyes of God. And together we say, and so it is. So in line with Reverend Kimberly's gleaning wisdom from children's books, I have something from Dr. Seuss that seemed to fit in with the teachings from Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind. So I'm going to try to not laugh while I'm doing this. Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the one who will decide where to go. So, step with care and great tact. And remember that life's a great balancing act. Amen.
There's only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my
Thank you, thank you. Ah, wow. I realized I forgot to introduce myself earlier when I was introducing the others. So for those of you who may not know me, I'm Kimberly Hawkins. I am the senior minister here at CSL Medford with a slash between. You know, many, well, all of our ministers last week were at the SOAR conference in Asilomar, which traditionally has been a conference that CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living, have. Beautiful spot, if you don't know it, on the Monterey Peninsula, gorgeous. And a couple ministers are still away because this week is the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago. So Dr. Linda Rapond, Reverend Stephanie are both there, along with a whole cadre of folks, so real excited to know that that's going on right now. This month, if you were here last week, you know, I decided to play a little bit. Come on, it's August, it's hot, it's summer. So I decided that I'd do something a little different and choose a children's book each week that had some spiritual messages in it. Read it to you, so the theme is story time, exploring spiritual truths in children's books. So today's book, we have a slideshow for you so you can kind of watch as I'm reading to you. It's called The Invisible String, written by Patrice Karst and illustrated by Joanne Lou, I think you call it Vriethoff. You can correct me because I don't speak German. So I'd invite you to simply listen as if I'm telling you well, hopefully not a bedtime story. I don't want you to fall asleep necessarily. But let's just explore here. So, Liza and Jeremy, the twins, were asleep one calm and quiet night. Suddenly, it began to rain very hard. You can go to the next slide, Viv. That was a mistake. Okay. Again. Okay, well, I guess I didn't give him the same slideshow I practiced with. That's okay. Suddenly it began to rain very hard. You can back up. Thunder rumbled until it got so loud that it woke them up. "Mommy, Mommy," they cried out as they ran to her. Stay there, Viv. "Don't worry, you two. It's just the storm making all that noise. Go back to bed." "We want to stay close to you," said Jeremy. "We're scared." Mom said, "You know, we're always together no matter what." "But how can we be together when you're out here and we're in bed?" said Liza. Mom held something tight in front of them and said, "This is how." Rubbing their sleepy eyes, the twins came closer to see what Mom was holding. "I was about your age when my mommy first told me about the invisible string." "I don't see a string," said Jeremy. "You don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love." "But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" asked Liza. "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love." When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the visible string until I feel it tug at my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it in our hearts, said Jeremy. Does Jasper the cat have an invisible string? Liza asked. She sure does, said Mom. And best friends like me and Lucy? Asked Liza. Best friends too. How far can the string reach? Anywhere and everywhere, said Mom. Would it reach me, even if we were a submarine captain deep in the ocean? Asked Jeremy. Yes, said Mom, even there. There it is. Again, Viv? Okay. Or a mountain climber, even there. A dancer in France, even there. A jungle explorer? Yes, even there. How about an astronaut out in space? Yes, even there. Then Jeremy quietly asked, "Can my string reach all the way to Uncle Brian in heaven?" "Yes," Mom said, "even there." "Does the string go away when you're mad at us?" "Never," said Mom. "Love is stronger than anger, and as long as love is in your heart, the string will always be there." Even when you get older and can't agree about things like what movie to see, or what game to play in the back seat, or what time to go to bed, oh, that's right, you two should be in bed. And with that, they all laughed as Mom chased the twins back to their beds. Within a few minutes, they were asleep, even though the storm was still making the same loud noises outside. Oh, Viv, you're great. She's ahead of me here. As they slept, they started dreaming of all the invisible strings they have, and all the strings their friends have, and their friends have, and their friends, until everyone in the world was connected by invisible strings. And from deep inside, they now could clearly see no one is ever alone. The end. You know, this author has a sequel to this book called The Invisible Web, where she goes on to say that not only are we connected by the invisible string to those we love, but also to everyone on the planet, to everything on the planet, which we're hearing in our songs, and certainly we hear in our philosophies for unity and science of mind. Ernest Holmes, our founder of Science of Mind, said, you know, he talked about how we're one with each other. We're one with the whole. Each of us is one with the whole. Therefore, we're one with each other. He wrote, "One life behind all lives, one, never two, the unity of all life. To learn this is to know a secret of the ages." And truly, mystics from all traditions have taught this. In our Science of Mind philosophy, oneness is the first core concept we teach. God, spirit, infinite intelligence, whatever we choose to call it, source is all there is. It is everywhere present. Therefore, we're all one with each other. Now, as for the little boy Jeremy's question about, you know, does the invisible string tie me to Uncle Brian or whoever his name was in heaven? I'm sure many of you have experienced, even when we lose loved ones, that connection, right? We feel it here, not necessarily here. Some of us have had communications, and we believe we're not the body, of course. We are an eternal expression of spirit, which has no body. It has no physical home. Temporarily, we're in these meat suits, but it's temporary, right? So I just love that this book presents all of that. And love is really what that string is, love. For we believe God is love. Jesus, of course, commanded us, love one another as I have loved you. I and the Father are one, and that's true for all of us. So we can go in a couple different directions here. The quantum physicist, I love that quantum physics is now tending to prove what we've been teaching and what mystics of all traditions have been teaching for many, many years. There's a concept, and in fact, we had a couple classes in quantum physics in ministerial school, if you can believe it. And we're blessed to have an amazing teacher. His name was Dr. Amit Goswami. He is a retired professor from one of our Oregon universities, and he has a doctorate in physics. He taught us that there is a concept called non-locality. And there's actually a definition, if I can find it here, but it basically means that there's communication going on between people, between particles, between everything in the universe, without any signal passing between. I can't find the definition he gave us right now. Oh, I know where it is. Here we go. You got to forgive me a little bit. I got home at 11 o'clock Saturday night from my time at Asilomar, which was awesome, but I didn't sleep a whole lot because it was too much going on and too much fun. And, we had the Kirtan last night, so I'm here, but I think I'm non-locally everywhere else still, too. Oh, dear. So there are two experiments that I tend to cite that I love that prove this concept of signalless communication, non-locality. One was done originally in the 1990s at the University of Mexico. There was a scientist named Jacobo Grimberg Zillerbaum. What he did was he took two subjects and he had them meditate with each other for 20 minutes on the idea that they could communicate without talking, without any signal passing between them. He then placed them in Faraday cages, which are a device that are protected. No electromagnetic energy can pass through. He hooked them both up to EEG machines to measure their brain activity. They continued to meditate while in the Faraday cages on this idea of being able to communicate. He showed one of them a burst of light, and the EEG machine registered the burst of light not only on the one who saw the light, but on the other one simultaneously. Now go figure, right? This experiment was repeated 5 or more times in different locations throughout the world, and quantum physicists felt that it was good evidence of this ability of connection, of oneness, of that invisible string we talked about. The other idea is that particles can communicate, photons as well as humans. So there were 2 photons in another experiment that came from the same atom. And they took one and they took it across the world, thousands of miles away, and turned the one photon, changed its orientation, and simultaneously the photon in the other location turned to match the position. Now, it was so far away that there was no possibility of even a light signal. This happened faster than the speed of light. So folks, we are all connected. We are all one. That idea of the invisible string is very, very potent. Amit Goswami said this. He said, behind our individuality, we have an interconnectedness, a common non-local consciousness, a unitive consciousness. We would call it, he said, God consciousness, that there is only one. I learned over the weekend, I was thrilled to realize when I listened to our former spiritual director for our whole movement, Dr. Ken Gordon, who spoke this past week at Asilomar. He talked about something I had not heard of. I bet many of you have. I knew that aspen trees underneath their root system is completely connected. They're one organism, even though they may be hundreds of tons, right? What I didn't know about something. How many of you have heard of let me see if I can, he had written the word on his hand, and I probably should have. How many of you have heard of the hang on, yeah, mother tree, mycorrhizal network. Mycorrhizal network, yeah, well, you're smarter than me. I hadn't heard about this. So it's thrilling because what it means is this fungi that exists underground connects all of the trees. And they use it to communicate with each other, and they use it to support and share resources with one another. The mother trees, the older trees, have deeper roots that are spread wider, and so they have access to more nutrients. And they help their offspring, they nurture their offspring just as we do, by sharing the nutrients through the mycorrhizal network. Now, the interesting thing is that this sharing of resources happens not just within species of trees, but within other species of trees. For example, a Douglas fir and a birch. Think about it. In the summertime, the birch has a lot of foliage, and so it has a deeper pool of nitrogen and one more nutrient. Anyway, it shares it with the Douglas fir. In the winter, when the branches on the birch are bare, it is the Douglas fir that shares its nutrients with the birch. The trees seem to communicate danger with one another. Like if one is facing a challenge and is going to need help and more nutrients, it sends a message out. So it's quite amazing. And I think it's a very lovely metaphor for how we are meant not to discriminate when we offer help, not to discriminate when we know we're one with everyone, regardless of our background, our color, our sexual orientation, etc. Isn't that wonderful? Mycorrhizal network. Albert Einstein, going back to physicists for a while, talked about this idea that we have, this experience we seem to have of feeling like we're separate from other people, separate from nature, separate from other things. He called it a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. I just love that. I just love it. And Eckhart Tolle, and I could quote so many mystical writers, he said this, and I guess I want to preface this with saying this. In the West, I think in general we tend to be more cerebral, more mental with our connection to God. It's not always true. I mean, I think exceptions would be gospel music, right? Or charismatic Christians and their praise music. And our music is what connects us here. I mean, it truly does. But last night at the kirtan, what I realized was, and you call it ecstatic kirtan, because when you chant like that and you just say God's name in all the forms, and in Hindu, God has many forms, you feel that connection. And it doesn't come from here. Just like in the book, when Mom said, you know, you can't see the invisible string, you feel it in your heart. For a while, when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, I attended the Self-Realization Temple there. It is a denomination that was started by Paramahansa Yogananda, a Hindu man, teacher, mystic, who came to the West to spread Hinduism here. And we chanted a lot. And what's that instrument you guys played last night?
Harmonium.
A harmonium. We played the harmonium and chanted. And one of my favorite chants was actually in English, and I know you guys have sung it here. Open the door to my heart. The door of my heart. Open wide, let's see, door of my heart. Open wide, right? Are you singing it today? Go ahead. Why don't you do it right after?
Just a real shorty.
Okay, all right, do it. We'll be spontaneous.
Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day.
Ah. Can you feel that? So I know here that one of the ways we feel that connection is to invite it and to get still and even just to say the name of God in whatever language and whatever expression we like to use it. I have shared here before that one time on a flight to Phoenix, Arizona from here, for some reason, I think I was in a class that suggested this spiritual practice. I had my journal with me, and I spent the whole flight writing down all the names for the divine that I could imagine. And if you've read the Science of Mind textbook, you know that there's like 200 names in there that Ernest Holmes uses. And by the time I landed, I was blissed out, just like Anton's face last night after all the chanting. He just looked blissed out. That simple practice of saying God's name. There is a saying, and I'm not sure it's true, but it's a lovely thought, that when Gandhi was assassinated, the last words on his heart, that he spoke were Ram, 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 Ram. And I don't know if it's true. There's dispute about that. But if you think about who Gandhi was and what he stood for, it's quite possible that that's what was going on, despite the circumstances, right? So that inviting, opening our hearts, spending time, and in the ecstatic traditions of just chanting that name of God, I'd love us to do more of that. I have something Eckhart Tolle said here. At the deepest level, an open heart is spacious presence in which the sense of separateness between yourself and the other, and there is the recognition of oneness, of shared consciousness. That recognition is love. Sensing the formless essence in another and recognizing it as one with your own essence, that's what love is. Love that. And I think we can take this one more step. So knowing that we're all connected and knowing that the Parliament of World Religion, anybody here been to the Parliament of World Religions? I went many years ago when it was held in Salt Lake City. It's held now about every 4 years. It is a most amazing event. Every religion you can possibly imagine is represented, and there are speakers, and there's dancing, and there's music, and I'm trying to remember the name. They have, they prepare a community meal, the Sikhs, I believe it is. And every day they feed thousands of people. We go in, you take off your shoes, you put on a hat, and they give you a vegetarian meal. Imagine the service-mindedness of Sikhs to do that for thousands of people every day for a week. It is a transcendent experience. So author Wayne Teasdale talks about interspirituality. He says it's the sharing of ultimate experiences across traditions. And he calls it the religion of the third millennium, which he says is preparing the way for a planet-wide enlightened culture. Both Unity and Science of Mind teach that we honor all religions, we honor all paths to God. And if you look at the mystical traditions, whether it's Sufi for Islam or the Kabbalah in Judaism, mystic Christians, we all are saying the same thing. That invisible string is love, is God. And it's everywhere. Even the physicists are teaching it now. It's the ground of all being. It's the quantum consciousness. We have a connection to it. We cannot lose it if we simply open our hearts and invite it. And nothing wrong with opening the mind too. Some of us are more scientifically oriented and need that proof. But isn't it wonderful to know, and isn't it hopeful to know, that just like the trees that share resources with those that aren't like them, we are called to do the same thing. Many, many teachers have told us when we help one, we help ourselves. When we separate one or hurt one, we're hurting ourselves. We are one. Yeah. I'm going to leave you with a little quote from Black Elk. I remember when I entered the big hall years ago for the Parliament of World Religions, they had quotes up above you as you went in, and I just felt like I was in sacred ground. By the way, squirrel here, but the other memory that I cherish from that time, the Buddhist monks who came, the Dalai Lama contingent who came, and all week worked on these beautiful sand mandalas with straws, meticulously creating this beautiful mandala. And you know what they did at the end of the convention? Just blew it away so that we're not attached to even the most beautiful of things. So this quote from Black Elk, who is a holy man from the Oglala Lakota tradition: peace will come to the hearts of men and women, I would say, when they realize their oneness with the universe. It is everywhere. Peace will come. And I said I was closing, but I'm not. One more thing. A Course in Miracles. This is from lesson 183, which we read last month. I'm going to read you a little section. Because speaking to this idea, at the end of the Invisible Web book, the last line is, "We are all family." This lesson is called, "I Call Upon God's Name and My Own." God's name is holy, but no holier than yours. To call upon his name is but to call upon your own. A caveat here, the Course in Miracles use masculine language throughout. We are sons of God. We are sons and daughters, but we are not our gender, right? And God is a he, but it's mother, father, God, of course. A father gives his son his name and thus identifies the son with him. His brothers share his name, and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. Your Father's name reminds you who you are, even within a world who does not know, even though you have not remembered it. God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind that calls you to remember. Say his name, and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand and to sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. And finally, repeat God's name, and all the world responds by laying down illusions. Every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand, you find a star, a miracle of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried, as happy laughter comes to bless the world. God, Spirit, divine intelligence, love intelligence, whatever we choose to call it, source, named us, gave us its name. And we are all family because we have the same last name. Let's go into prayer. Saying the name of God, oh, so many names: love, spirit, divine intelligence, wisdom, peace, harmony, freedom, the ground of all being, quantum consciousness, ultimate reality with a capital R, all that is the thing itself, as Ernest Holmes called it. It is everywhere present. Even the Greek philosophers wrote, even the stones are ensouled. All is one life living itself in varied forms, but we cannot be separate from our Maker or from each other. We are indeed spiritual family. And yet each of us is a unique expression, a unique incarnation of that one life, eternal, given a set of gifts like no one else. As last week's story told us, we are each special and we are each beloved of the divine, which makes no mistakes. So really that invisible string is both within and without. It's in nature, as we saw with the trees, and it unites us with everything, not only on this planet, but in other dimensions. When we lose somebody to physical death, we are still connected by that invisible string. And when we invoke the name of the divine, and when we open our hearts, peace comes. Knowing that we are cared for and loved, knowing that we can share our resources and receive, be part of that give and take, that flow, that circulation that was planned by a divine mind that I believe smiles when we do share, when we do know truth. So I speak my word this morning for everyone listening. I speak my word for everyone across the planet, whether they are worshiping in an ashram, a yoga mat, a mosque, a temple, or out in nature, knowing that we are all one and there's only one God, many paths to it. I know that we are headed to an interspirituality where we honor instead of fight or criticize or divide. when we recognize our oneness, there is peace on the planet. I bless everyone who is struggling right now in this world of illusion, knowing that pain can feel very real. And so we offer a blessing to the people on Maui, to that beautiful city of Lahaina that I love so much, many of us love so much. I offer a blessing to any area in the world that is suffering with famine, with war, with illness, knowing that God is right there. The invisible strings from our heart connect them, and it is prayer that travels through that invisible string. That is why we can pray for somebody across the globe and a healing happens. We are never alone. So blessing all our communities, our faith communities, blessing each one in our community, blessing the universe, and giving thanks for this incredible teaching, for this beautiful community, blessing the Parliament of World Religions, knowing that that right now is creating a vibration that will spread across the planet of unitive consciousness. So grateful to speak all of this with you, so grateful to be here with you this morning. I just released this prayer into that heart of the divine, knowing as all prayers, it is heard and it is already answered in the heart and the mind of the divine. And I invite you to say with me, and so it is. Amen and namaste.
We're going to do a piece out of the Unity Hymnal. We're going to play a piece out of the Unity Hymnal. No, you just listen.
Just listen and enjoy.
You'll know it, but...
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Woo! It's kind of hard to do announcements after. Oh, you got to do an offertory first. Oh, guys, I forgot you told me you were doing that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was glorious. Wow. Woo. Let's give him one more round of applause. Woo. So I alluded a little bit to this law of circulation as I invite our ushers, Les and Matt, to come forward. The law of circulation, of course, is that, when we put things in motion, there's this circularity, and that when we take a portion of what we receive and give to the places where we're spiritually fed, we are fed all the more. So I'm going to ask you, if you would, to repeat our giving affirmation after me. Thank you. Graciously I give from a place of love, knowing that as I give, so do I richly receive. And so it is.
circulation, circulation, like the water raining down to grow the flowers up through the ground. Circulation, circulation, the universe you give into will multiply it and send it back to you.
Pressed down,
good measure, shaken together and running over.
pressed down,
A good measure, shaken together and running over.
pressed down,
A good measure, shaken together and running over.
pressed down,
A good measure, shaken together and running over. Circulation, circulation, like the water raining down to grow the flowers up through the ground. Circulation, circulation, the universe you give into will multiply it and send it back to you. Will multiply it and send it back to you. Will multiply it and send it back to you.
A special thanks, yeah. A special thanks once again to Alyssa Narum. I hope you'll come back. It was lovely. Let's see, some announcements before we adjourn for some snacks. Unity's Prayer Circle meets every Tuesday here at 10:30, followed by Tai Chi at 11:30. There's still a need for ushers and ambassadors. I keep promising a meeting. It's happening soon now that I'm back from my travels. There's a sign-up sheet in there. Ambassadors are people who are going to stand at the door before service to greet people, especially newcomers, and just answer any questions and direct them to our name tag sign-up, which is in that corner, and our newsletter sign-up, which is in the Bosworth Hall. Ellen Michaels, is she here today, is starting a 6-week book study from 4 to 6 p.m. Thursday, starting on 8/24. It is Sadhguru's book, Inner Engineering. And that's going to meet here. It's $40 for the 6 weeks, so you can sign up in the social hall or in our newsletter. I believe there is Ellen's contact information. Reverend Stephanie Clark is starting the Art and Science of Spiritual Mind Treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. This is an accredited Science of Mind class. It'll be held here Wednesday evenings starting on September 13th from 6 to 9. There's an early bird price, so if you want to do it, sign up now or early until 9/3. It is $160 now. It goes up after that. This is a transformational class. She, as you know, you've heard her pray, is an amazing prayer, and it's what connects us. It's what puts us in touch with knowing that invisible string and communicating as the divine with the divine. You can sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. As I said, prayer requests are accepted in the box in the back of the sanctuary, or Unity's box is in there. Our practitioners, I'm going to invite them to come up now. Any practitioners and ministers in the room are here to pray for you after service. I always say don't leave here with a heavy heart, because they're willing to sit with you and do a 5-minute miracle for you, to know truth if you're experiencing something in your life you would like to shift. So Carol and Teresa. Let's see, is that it?
Kimberly, I have a question.
Yes.
If we were to do a kirtan on Sunday, I want to see a show of hands. Who would like it right after church? Who would like it at 4 o'clock? Who would like it at 6 o'clock? Looks like right after church.
Right after church.
Okay.
When it's not so hot. Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So before we go to our closing song, I'd like to leave you with this morning as a benediction. It is from Desmond Tutu. The God who existed before any religion counts on you to make the oneness of the human family known and celebrated. God counts on all of us. Take it away.
love you. I bless you. Thank you for being in the world. I love you. I bless you. Thank you for being in the world. I love you. I bless you. Thank you for being in the world. I love you.